Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back. We are here for another review of the series Big Wolf on Campus. Big Wolf on Campus was a series that came out in 1999 and ran until 2002 for 3 seasons. The show stars Brandon Quinn as the titular character Tommy Dawkins, Danny Smith as his best friend, the highly intelligent but goofy Merton Dingle, who's an expert on the supernatural, as well as Rachelle Lefevre, who plays Stacy, the captain of the cheerleading team and love interest to Tommy. However, Lefevre would only be on the show for 1 season, but I'll get into that in just a moment. So while the title of this video says series review, I'm mostly going to be focusing on seasons 2 and 3 since I've already reviewed season 1. I was originally just going to review season 2, but after I finished the 2nd season, guys, I just kind of got into the zone. I didn't want to stop and thought it'd be more fun just to review both seasons 2 and 3. But there will be spoilers ahead, so if you do not want any spoilers, then be sure to go check out my review for season 1, then come back and check out this video. But again, guys, there will be spoilers, so I will, however, give you a quick recap of season 1. The whole story itself revolves around high school quarterback from Pleasantville named Tommy Dawkins, who gets bitten by a werewolf, and now with the help of his new friend Merton Dingle, they take on supernatural foes that make their way to Pleasantville. I thought the first season was a lot of fun, guys. I wish that I had learned about this show growing up because I would have watched it. The story was great, and it has some Teen Wolf vibes as it features another athlete who's a werewolf, with the exception that Tommy keeps his werewolf identity a secret for the most part, unlike how the character Scott did in that movie. The actors Brandon Quinn and Danny Smith, who played Tommy and Merton, just had great chemistry as friends, and it was just a lot of fun to watch them as they try to take on all the foes they've encountered throughout the show, and you can just tell the actors had a lot of fun as well. The villains throughout the first season I thought were really interesting. They tackled some unique villains, while at the same time adding some villains that are familiar, like Death. It's kind of like watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Angel, and they even have a parody of that where there's an episode where they feature Muffy the Werewolf Slayer that Tommy and Merton encounter. Now, there wasn't much of the first season that I didn't genuinely care for. If there was anything that I noticed, I just remembered that Tommy's werewolf makeup was inconsistent throughout certain episodes, where it looked like this, and then it would look like this, but it's not a big deal at all. It's just something I noticed, but honestly, it's mostly because they had to tone it down because the actor Brandon Quinn was having some allergic reactions to the werewolf makeup, so obviously they had to tone it down a little bit. Now, each episode carried the same energy during the first season, but the big question is, how does seasons 2 and 3 compare? Well, I'm about to tell you. But first, if this is a show that you'd be interested to check out or learn more about, be sure to go check out the channel Nerd Squish. Tracy is a huge fan of the show and has made several videos about it herself. I actually learned about this show from watching her channel. So if you're a fan of vampires, pop culture, horror movies, werewolves, or Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, then be sure to go head over and subscribe to her channel. I'll drop a link in the description below. So season 2, being completely honest here, I thought it was really good, and I honestly consider it to be my favorite season of the whole series. Now, season 2 features almost the same cast returning, with the exception of Rachelle Lefevre, who played Stacy, as the character left for college, and I also read that the actress left the show because she was attending college in real life. So instead, they replaced her character with actress Amy Castle as Lori Baxter, who eventually joins Tommy and Merton in their fight against the villains of Pleasantville. Season 2 carries the same energy from the first season, but honestly, I thought the villains in this season were a little bit more intense and pretty fun at the same time. For example, the trio has to take on Dr. Apocalypse, who's planning to unleash the end of the world through pro wrestling matches. And I'm pretty sure this character right here is supposed to be based off Sting from the WCW series. Man, growing up in the 90s and early 2000s watching pro wrestling, man, those were the days. They also introduce Vince, the childhood imaginary friend of Merton, who, after Merton rejects him, he sets out to cause some chaos. Yeah, that was an interesting episode. And probably one of the biggest threats of this season would be the Werewolf Syndicate, a group of evil werewolves who try to force Tommy to join them. And eventually they cause Tommy to bite and infect Lori, and now Tommy and Merton have to race against the clock to save her before she becomes a werewolf permanently. Now, throughout the 2nd season, there's also brief moments of tension between the trio themselves because both Tommy and Merton develop feelings for Lori, which does cause some friction. And also, Tommy discovers at one point that Lori mostly prefers hanging out with Tommy because he's a werewolf. Now, if you're a fan of The Lost Boys, then this show is for you. In season 2, Corey Haim, playing himself, makes an appearance, and it's revealed he's an actual vampire. And I like the design of his full vampire form. It kind of reminded me of the vampire from the first season of Buffy. That wasn't the last time one of the Coreys from The Lost Boys will make an appearance, but I'll get to that. Also, while I was preparing to film this, my wife told me that Jason Patric and Billy Wirth from The Lost Boys will be at a horror convention here in Oklahoma this summer, so I'm definitely getting me some autographs. The only thing about season 2 that I thought was a little weird is that I feel like the last 2 episodes were out of order. We have the trio meeting the Gorgon Medusa, who, spoiler alert, turns Merton to stone after he sacrifices himself to save Tommy. And the episode ends on a cliffhanger. But then the next episode, Merton is fine, and the trio has another run-in with death. And this episode actually shows Merton trying to write a song where it's based on the show's main theme that Danny Smith himself performed, which has been stuck in my head. It's just a phase I'm going through. If it's now stuck in your head, you're welcome. But anyway, it's not until season 3 where it picks back up where we left off with Merton being frozen in stone. So let's go ahead and move on to season 3. Season 3, just like the first 2 seasons, is still fun and entertaining, but I will say, some of these episodes get pretty bizarre. And I have to say, this is the season where I've noticed, man, Merton cannot catch a break. He's turned into a werewolf, a vampire, a ghost. He does fall in love with a centuries-old princess from Japan that leads to a samurai after him now because the samurai also loves the princess. Merton gets impregnated and gives birth to an alien, and here's what the alien baby looks like. I would not want to go to that baby shower. He also has to hide from an ex-con that's after him, and the only way that he can hide from them is by a portal that goes right beside Tommy's head. That, of course, causes some tension because that actually is painful for Tommy. But I will say, though, despite all of that, Merton's pretty cunning and diabolical. Remember when he dates a vampire that only feeds on werewolves? Well, remember the evil werewolf syndicate? You could probably guess where he sends her. And yeah, she basically devours them all, except for this guy named Gil, who's the most chipper of the whole group. I mean, seriously, this guy has a tendency to enter the room just being like, hi-ho. So also as mentioned, we get another Corey in this season. This time it's Corey Feldman from The Lost Boys, who shows up wanting to produce Merton's movie that he's writing. But it's also revealed that Corey Feldman is also, in fact, well, another vampire. While season 3 was fun, I will say it wasn't my favorite of the series, but I didn't think it was bad. And near the end, it got a little emotional because they graduate from high school and they briefly go their separate ways. But I did like the ending. It did set it up to where the group will continue their adventures, although it's just implied. You know, I'd be down for a series revival. I would definitely recommend this show, especially if you're a big fan of werewolves. It's a good story with fun cast of characters, and you can find the whole series here on YouTube. Just be aware the video quality may not be the greatest, but it is what it is. I liked the very last episode because the cast talked about their favorite villains in episodes, so to end this review, I thought it would be fun for me to talk about my favorite episodes and villain from each season. Starting with season 1, when it comes to my favorite villain, I'm going to have to go with the one from episode 2 called The Bookmobile, where Tommy and Merton face off against a woman who drives a bookstore on wheels, but she's able to trap people and their life story inside a book. As far as my favorite episode, I'm going to have to go with the one where they meet Death, who's after Tommy, and they try to challenge and defeat Death in every way they can, which eventually leads to them challenging with chess or other board games, and they just get, shamefully defeated. In season 2, my favorite villain is from the episode called Frank Stein, which is basically a parody of Frankenstein, where a scientist creates a monster and wants to transfer Merton's brain into the creature, kind of like from the movie Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And of course, Tommy faces off against the monster, so it sprinkles a little bit of Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, which is one of my favorite movies. For season 2, my favorite episode is a 2-part. It's the one that I mentioned earlier where Tommy bites Lori because of the werewolf syndicate, and they spend the rest of the time trying to cure her. And it's a good thing they did, because Lori could already hold her own pretty well without werewolf powers. Add some evil and some werewolf powers to that. Oh boy. For season 3, I would say my favorite villain is from the episode There's Something About Laurie, where a Phantom of the Opera type character has his sights on Laurie, and at the same time Merton is trying to write a musical. So this turns into the musical episode, kind of like what they did in Buffy. As for my favorite episode, this time I would say it's a tie between the one titled What's the Story? Morning Corey, where the trio meets vampire Corey Feldman, and the episode titled Dances Without Wolves, where Tommy lives in a world where he is no longer a werewolf and his friends don't know him, and another person becomes the werewolf who's, unlike Tommy, definitely not a good werewolf. But there you have it, guys. That is my review and my favorite episodes of Big Wolf on Campus. Again, this show is a lot of fun, and I think you guys will have a great time watching it. But if you've seen this show, be sure to comment down below. What did you think of it? What was your favorite episode? Who was your favorite character? And who is your favorite villain? But thanks for checking out my review, guys. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel if you'd like to hear more reviews for monster movies, creature features, horror films, comic book films, and so on. Have a great one, guys.